What's up, y'all? It's your boy, survival rapper, producer, philanthropist, and founder of Summerfest, which is hands down the best community variety festival in the galaxy. I think my guests would agree. So we're back here with another episode of Fest Friends to talk to participants of past and hopefully future Summerfest events. I want to bring in a very special person. I met this guest through my wife, and you may have seen him on the Summerfest stage in 2019. You may have seen him on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah. You may have seen him rather on the Today Show. We'll get to that in a second. I want to introduce and welcome Paris, the hip hop juggler. Welcome.
What's happening, my man?
What's going on? Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh man, I really enjoy the invite, so thank you.
So we'll try to work around. I know you got some familiar stuff going on, and we all do. Juggling that, no pun intended. So I want to ask you, where did the name come from? Why the hip hop juggler?
It all started with me being a circus program when I was 12 years old, and we were all there to flip. It was an outreach program here in Harlem, where I'm from, and a bunch of black kids. We were the rougher kind because those were the kids that were cool with taking risks, who isn't scared of breaking their neck doing a flip if they haven't done stuff that got them almost hurt anyway. So juggling was not what anybody wanted to do. It was for clowns, it was for nerds, doesn't get you any girls. But a teacher came in, a new juggling teacher came in, and he wanted us to challenge that idea. So he sat us all down. He said, "Why don't you want to juggle?" Well, I'm not a clown. I'm not a clown either. But don't you juggle? Yeah, I juggle, but that's a clown. I'm a juggler. So then it's like, well, I don't want to look like a clown. You don't have to look like a clown. Can I wear my Air Jordans? Yeah, I can wear my Air Jordans. And he's like, yeah, you can wear your Air Jordans. And it's like, then we're like, hey, well, can I play rap music in the back? It's like, you can make juggling whatever you want to make it. Rap music, rap music. So in 6 months, you got a bunch of black kids in Harlem performing on a stage outside with rap music playing, and all of us are rocking, modern sneakers. And it just started. It built from there in terms of just being yourself, being yourself. A couple of years later, I was on the Today Show at a solo act, and out of nowhere, Al Roker goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, hip hop's first juggler." And I was 14 years old, and I'm like, okay, I can rock with that.
And it stuck. That's amazing.
It stuck, yeah.
Shout out to Al Roker, just bestowing names that stick,
Seriously.
for years and years. So I want to talk to you a little bit about hip hop. So what were you listening to in those days that got you feeling the groove in the moment? Like what type of stuff would you put on?
When I was a kid, when I first started juggling, I was all about Wu-Tang, Biggie, Dr. Dre, Nas, Ice Cube. Yeah, I mean, I'm using the past tense because I will still listen to that stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, that was all new. That was the music of my time. And yeah, we used to come out and do flips to that deep cover beat.
That's what's up. And I think we're both around about the same age, and that's the stuff that I was listening to when I grew up. That's when I fell in love with hip hop, and I knew that I was like, I need to get into hip hop in some way. And for me, it was just like writing and emulating all those people who I've heard and who I admired at that time. I can't do any flips, and I can barely flip a coin and catch it, and put it on heads or tails. So I don't think you'll have any problem, just quickly, dispersing of me if we were to do a little battle.
You can do a lot of stuff that I can't do, though.
This is very true. This is true. That's we're all unique, snowflakes. So moving ahead to let's say, I want to say 2017. I think I had my wife reach out to you for a little variety show that we had done, and you graciously did it. I think you were still living in Boston at the time, correct?
Yeah, I lived in Boston for 4 years while my wife was going to med school out there. So we moved to Boston together, and she handled those 4 years like a champ. I
As
would
did
have,
you.
I would have quit 10 times if I had to study that much, but she did it. And yeah, during that time, I learned that your wife lived in Boston, so we instantly connected because we hadn't seen each other in years.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that was great.
Yeah, and again, fast forward to Summerfest 2019. So at this point, you're living in New York. I asked you to do it again. You graciously accepted. You actually drove here that day last July, performed, and you did your thing. You rocked it. So we haven't seen you in a couple of months. We all know what's going down. It's June 17th, and we're stuck in the house. We're doing a Zoom interview. Like, what has happened since that moment that I last saw you?
Okay, well, the biggest one is had my first kid. I have a daughter now, beautiful young lady who
Congratulations.
really, I know, yeah, you know all about that life, Mr. New
I
Dad.
sure do. I sure
Yeah,
do.
our kids did FaceTime with each other. That was cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was the biggest thing. That required somewhat of a transition while she was so small. So while she's a newbie, I didn't want to travel as much as I was doing. So I cut the traveling down, way down, did local shows, and began teaching here in New York City. So there's some outreach after school programs that I've been working at. In the fall, it was mainly in Harlem, but in the spring, it was in Brooklyn and the Bronx. So in the Bronx, I was in the poorest district in the country, and it was good coming in there and showing those kids every week that they could express themselves in ways that they feel comfortable without it feeling like school, like it's mandated.
Sure.
Like the same way that someone exposed me to juggling by allowing me to own it, I can do the same thing with kids who were poor just like me, but obviously a whole lot younger. And yeah, that was a lot of what I was doing, in addition to, of course, shows. I
And
think
give me a
what was
sense
another
of
show?
sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Give me a
Yeah.
sense of like what some of the interactions are, with those kids. Like when you're coming, is it like, a set time frame? They have to come in, line up. You're showing them some things. Is it, you doing a demonstration and then having them kind of follow your lead?
Well, they all signed up for a circus elective in the after school program, and when they hear that they're getting general instructions, they're they usually see me in the room, and they wait for the juggling instructor to come out. Like, so when's he coming?
Who's this guy?
Yeah. So anyway, he's here, but when's the juggler coming
Right.
in? Is that so? Right away, I have authenticity where I I redefined what they thought a juggler looked like, felt like, and acted like, and on top of that, showed what ownership of artistry is like, where you can break away from the current norm. If you think something's whack, you can make your own version of it that you like. So
Absolutely.
with that, I'm not who they see in their birthday parties. It's very clear. And with that, they could teaching those kids artistry and ownership, something that somebody in middle school doesn't quite think exists, has a lot of value.
That's awesome. And I cut you off. Sorry about that. You were telling me about
Oh yeah,
some of the
shows. Yeah,
shows. Yeah. What
one
about
of
some of
my
the
biggest
shows?
shows, when I finally did take away the travel restrictions, was I did a HBCU, historically black college and
Oh,
university. I was
nice.
at Fayetteville State University, and it
All
was
right.
nice.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
cool. And when did you actually lift that restriction? From father to father. Like I
I did it at 3 months old.
okay, yeah, because I when my daughter was I think she was 3 months old as well. I went to a football game. I'm a big Patriots fan,
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry to hear that, man.
yeah, it's it's 6 championships. We had a good run.
But not
Um,
against my Giants.
anyway, I definitely don't want to go down that rabbit hole this conversation. Um, but so I talked to my wife and I was like, the game's in November. Your mom can come up from Connecticut and hang out. Like, can we do this? And she was like, oh yeah, okay. It took a lot of convincing, but was it something like that happened at home, more or less?
No. The debating was really among myself.
Okay,
I had to figure out if I was ready to leave baby behind
right.
because just you look and it's a little you, and not everybody can be executive about that. Some people still got the emotional. So that was me. So I had to allow myself to understand, okay, I'm ready to take this activity.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you did it because I know that your artistry is very important to you. We're going to talk about something else that is very important to you. I obviously see you have your shirt. I don't know if you want to like kind of pan down so everyone can see
Oh,
your
sure.
shirt.
All right. Let's do the dramatic.
So we obviously have, for people that have never opened up a textbook in their entire lives, we have Dr. Martin Luther King on I think that's your left, and then Barack Obama on your right. Um, we don't live under a rock, right? We are both, men of color. There are some things happening. You live in New York City, sort of one of the, like the epicenter of, everything cultural and, where movers and shakers go, stuff like that. Tell me about how the last couple of weeks have been and just the level of emotion that you have had seeing all of the pardon my French, all of the fuckery that's been happening, as far as causing the civil unrest in the country.
Yeah. I mean, you know quite a bit about this. As an entertainer, you're 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 making people happy on stage. You're doing something that people escape to. But often they forget that we have lives and we have priorities. So that means that when it um, when it comes down to what really affects us, a lot of people are quite in shock that we would be bothered. Often they look at us and they go like, "Hey, so like let me tune into him so I can escape." It's like, man, this is bigger. So what it started to happen to me earlier than where most people believe the unrest sparked. For
The
me,
crescendo
yeah,
people
for
usually take
me,
the crescendo as the George Floyd
right.
incident.
For me, it was earlier. Being here in Harlem, uh, so many and with Black people dying at much higher rates for COVID-19. Um, it hit a different chord for me when um, people I personally knew were dying. The woman who lived in the apartment directly upstairs from me, she passed and she was fine. There was no reason to believe that she wasn't going to be around
Right,
next month.
right.
And she just died, got sick, and it took her out fast. And seeing how that was politicized depending on where you lived and what your politics were. And when Black people are dying, you can't do politics. But people are thinking, hey, well, what about me and what about my comfort? And I noticed, and it always got me when there are Black lives in jeopardy. It's common in American society to prioritize comfort, especially when it comes to white comfort. So when I saw on top of the deaths going on here with Black people in Harlem and the Bronx, especially, people are storming state houses with guns and saying they need haircuts, and then they're storming in with guns. Like I have a hard time. I'd have a hard time even pulling over there without getting shot. These guys have guns and walking
Right.
up in there and yelling.
Hmm.
So that already got me. So I was pumped up even before.
Yeah, and I can definitely sympathize and empathize there. Just looking not only as an observer, everything that's happening on the news, but someone that, newsflash, has been brown his entire life. Like this, um, the crescendo that's happening, or that we appear to see happening, in the United States, like we've seen this song and dance, we've seen it in 92, we've seen it in the 60s, we saw it, in the 19 teens. Like this is not new. So how do you reconcile this specific occasion being anything different?
What's different right now? A number of things are different. First off, with COVID-19 forcing shutdowns nationwide in terms of business, shuts down schools, shuts down travel, people don't have the distractions that they usually have. So you don't have that work project that you need to focus on. You don't have your kids going to school and their schoolwork you need to focus on. You don't have that plane to catch. And everybody is stuck at home watching the same channel as us. So now they're like, whoa, wait a minute. That was not a reason to kill that. There's no way you can say
Right.
that that was,
Right.
that was okay, that was justified. Oh, wait, that happened to the, oh, nah. And there isn't, we can't just turn on ESPN and watch sports.
Right.
We don't have our usual escapes. We don't have these things. We have to sit down and let it marinate. And that's, that put us in a position where now white people care for the first time in my lifetime. That
Right.
white people universally care, where white people are saying this can't happen. And now they're taking it as high as they can. And with that, we're getting actual work being done for the first time in my life. Usually it's us carrying all of the burden when we're 12 or 13% of the nation and have a very tiny percent of the nation's wealth and power.
Sure.
But this time now, people are arguing with their parents. People are with real money or withholding their money until they see changes. And because people aren't at work, you don't have to wake up at work. You don't have to wake up and go to work the next morning. You're out. It's okay to protest all night. It's okay to protest all day. So that's what's different, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree. And, I have a young daughter. I did like the world's tiniest protest outdoors, with her. But, with COVID, trying to keep her, safe and, more than 6 feet apart from people. Most of my protesting has been, to your point, with my money, and, making some really conscious changes in the ways that, I'm doing things. So if you're not able to be, out there, in the streets of Harlem, in the Bronx, parading up and down the streets, how are you um, trying to affect some change, and how are you going to do that moving forward throughout COVID-19?
Um, there's so many different ways, and I think it's important when you want to have the masses inflict change that you need a multifaceted approach. You can't have everybody doing it the same way, especially since one channel might get overworked to the point where it's numb or people figured out how to tune it out. But
Sure.
then also you're going to put a lot of people in positions where they're not best served. You know what I mean? Some people are more fit to be outside in the streets. I am not. My wife is fighting the COVID-19 efforts head on because she's working in the hospitals as a doctor. And with that, I need to maintain the fort and keep our kids safe.
Right.
So being out in the streets doesn't make sense for me, especially since she's not home yet.
Sure.
Protest is outside, baby's
Right.
sleeping. I
Right.
can't leave her here. But with that, I've been using my art as a juggler, uh, my status in terms of my reach online and through the networks that I have to use my voice to explain, properly verbalize everything in ways that people can get.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, really provide focus in terms of where people can really understand what's going on. And lots of people have thanked me for it. And on top of that, I've been challenging specific institutions with my status as well, and that's been highly productive on a number of different levels. I think even if you don't think you can do a lot, if you can do what you're good at and do what you do what you feel you're being productive in, then hey, all power to you.
Sure. Absolutely.
I'm not telling everybody to pick up juggling clubs and start juggling and make videos that send them out, because not everybody can do that.
Right. Right. Yeah, well, we definitely appreciate you using your voice and your platform to do those things, and we want to send a special thanks and shout out to your wife. Who you mentioned is a doctor and on the front lines, so she risks her life every day. We are going to change directions a little bit, bring some levity to the conversation. Talking about that stuff and just, living it every day is very, very heavy. And, we want the audience to see all sides of Paris, the light and funny, the serious, just, everything. So I have a game we talked about what the game is. It is called Who Won It? It's very, very simple. We are going to pit two different celebrities against one another, and you're going to tell me, who do you think is the better performer, producer, rapper, R&B person, whatever. And luckily, the internet has already done the work for me. I don't really have to do anything. So you're familiar with the Versus TV battles that are happening for all the people who live under a rock. What Versus TV is doing is they're taking two different musical entities, and they're saying we're going to put you in 20 rounds against one another, and we're going to pit your discographies against each other, and the internet's going to go wild and crazy, and everyone, because they don't have a life right now, and you're glued to the internet, we're going to write about it and opine about it for days to come. And
I'm just scared to get blocked by Black Twitter.
Canceling's not a thing anymore, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. And you're doing great work, so nobody would block you on Black Twitter. Don't block him on Black Twitter. I got your back.
Thank you.
So the first, I don't know if you've seen any of these. You haven't seen? Have you heard about any of these happening? I think they're usually on like Saturdays. Okay. On IG. So the first one that I'm gonna present to you, and you have to tell me who do you think won? Manny Fresh, legendary producer from Cash Money, and Scott Storch. Who do you think won it?
I gotta say Scott Storch. I got Lean Back in my head right now, and me being an uptown guy, that hits me right in the soft spot.
Of course it does. Of course it does. And you had to go and bring up the Giants. Damn you. I'm going to take Manny Fresh. I was a huge Cash Money. If you want to call me a soldier, you
really?
can. But I was riding for them like for a long time.
I would not have guessed that.
Yes, I did. Like, and actually, my cousin, we're about the same age. He was like on the No Limit train, and so we definitely had some words at that time. So, all right. So Scott Storch is your man. The next one, I mean, these guys need no introduction. One of the most prolific rappers out of the South, Ludacris versus Cornell Haynes Jr., also known as Nelly. Who won it? Ludacris versus Nelly.
I'm gonna go Ludacris. Off of strictly bars alone, it's not even a competition.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I would agree. But Nelly has some hits. He has
Hits
hits on
and
hits.
bars are different.
They are very different. Yeah. So your
Like
criteria is
Puff's
bars.
got hits, Jadakiss got bars. I go
Yes,
bars every time.
that's true. Jadakiss, top 5 dead or alive. By the way. Um. So this one here, number 3. I wouldn't say there's a lyricist out of the bunch, but I'm curious to know what you think. Uh, Tallahassee Payne or T Pain versus Lil Jon. Yeah, who do you got? Who won it?
I take T Pain. I think T Pain just works a whole lot more. I think the grind muscle in T Pain is stronger.
It's interesting to hear you say that.
Yeah, he's got that grind that just you gotta respect how hard he's worked. I mean, he makes a lot of those beats he made. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's not the best looking guy. He's not the best lyricist. He's not the best singer.
No, he
But
started out as a rapper, and everyone was like,
yeah, rapper turned singer, his first
"Yeah,
joint. And
yeah,
I think one of my favorite juggling sets actually. I made a juggling routine to chopped and screwed.
oh,
So
there we go.
yeah,
All right, so
take it back to
that
Ludacris.
holds a little place in your heart. Got it, got
Yeah.
it." So this one, number 4, was actually one of my personal favorites. So I saw both of these ladies, and it was just like it was all love. It was a vibe. It was great. I don't know if you have an affinity for one or the other, but Erica Badu versus Jill Scott. Who won it?
That's tough.
That is a toughie.
Um, I love them both, respect them both. I gotta go with Erica Badu
Mm,
just because some of the some of her top hits resonate with me longer. So Tyrone, for instance, but you can't use my phone. It just is too much. She approaches the game a lot like a rapper would, and I respect that.
yes, yes. I'm more so leaning with you, but I mean, the Queen Jill Scott, like her voice is
Oh,
it's
no
just on
question.
another level. It's just heavenly. Um, I actually don't have a last one for you. I'm gonna play a little hypothetical for you.
Okay.
How about you versus me in juggling? Who do you got?
Let me think. Uh, if I was to give myself a millisecond of thinking, we should do
Of
it Apollo
course.
style. Have the Apollo audience
Oh man,
decide.
I in juggling, I would not be able to hang with you. But if we flipped it and we were doing, strictly music stuff, and
If we
we had to go,
flipped, if we
oh,
flipped, like flipped,
actually,
because
you would probably have me there too. Um,
music, man,
if it was
that's
just like
disgusting.
bars, then I would probably have you. I mean, I don't know. You might have something up your sleeve though.
Not to the degree that you have.
All
So,
right, good.
uh-uh.
So the internet agrees that you won it. You won it. I'm just kidding. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts. There is one I believe planned for this Saturday. Um, it is John Legend versus Alicia Keys. Interesting matchup.
It is an interesting matchup. They're definitely going to split the room, but I don't think they attract the same people. So,
Interesting. Why do you say that?
it, because Alicia Keys, I think she was 19 when she blew up, while John Legend right away had this sort of like this grown folks kind of thing to him. I think there are rougher edges to Alicia Keys that may attract certain kinds of people versus that smooth, clean feel of John Legend
I know what
that'll
you
attract
mean.
a different kind of fan.
Yeah, can't marry a rapper or a producer. Just and then think that you're gonna wipe the floor with John Legend. Come on, Alicia. Um,
It would be fun though.
I'm inclined to agree with you. It should be fun, and I think I'm going to tune in. I think I'm going to tune in. I do not have an interview that day. I'm going to tune in. I'm going to tune in and see what happens.
Yeah.
So that was the segment Who Won It? You guys heard Paris's thoughts. I don't know if you agree with him. I definitely don't agree with him about him smoking me and juggling. I don't know. I mean, I've been practicing a little bit over here, juggling the fatherhood and juggling that with work and these interviews and music. I mean, I'm doing a little bit of, it's a different kind of
Juggling
juggling.
a 40 pun.
Okay. All right. We're going to end this segment quickly. I do want to thank you, Paris, for jumping on with me, taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk about everything from fatherhood to, what's going on in terms of how you're feeling about the protests and civil unrest. For everyone that would like to, follow you on social and hear about some of the stuff that you're doing in your online, reach, where can everyone find you?
um, hiphopjuggler.com just for the basics. But on socials, I'm at hip hop juggler on everything. I'm mostly active on Instagram, and actually, I put up my most recent work today on Instagram. There's a snippet of me juggling, but then there's a link in the bio to a larger expression of a more socially conscious full length routine that that touches what's going on today. And when I say touches, I mean heavily, heavily like heavily smothers what's going on today.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be a different expression of juggling um, that most people wouldn't think it goes in, but at the same time, it's very me.
Awesome. So, and we appreciate your craft and your creative mind. You definitely are taking juggling to a higher plane. Especially
That's what I hope
with
for.
yeah, especially with turning the craft itself on its head, making it your own. I hope you're going to be an inspiration for many generations to come. Keep doing the good work that you're doing with the kids. Big up to your wife, who is again a first responder, and much love to you and your family. This is Survival signing off. Thanks for joining Best Friends.
Thank you, and happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you.